The rain tapped softly against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the downtown office as Marcus stood at his desk, organizing files for the next day's meeting. At 42, he carried himself with quiet dignity, his salt-and-pepper hair and warm brown eyes reflecting years of both joy and sorrow. The office had long emptied, but Marcus often stayed late, finding comfort in the routine of work. "Marcus, you're still here." He turned to see Victoria, his boss, standing in the doorway. She was an elegant woman in her early 50s, with silver streaks in her dark hair and a reputation for being both demanding and deeply caring about her team. She held 2 cups of coffee, extending one toward him. "Thank you," Marcus said, accepting the warm cup. "Just finishing up tomorrow's presentation." Victoria settled into the chair across from his desk, something she rarely did. The casual gesture made Marcus curious. For a moment, they sat in comfortable silence, listening to the rain. "Marcus, I hope you don't mind me saying this," Victoria began, her voice gentle, "but I've noticed something over the past 3 years you've worked here. You're one of my best employees, reliable, kind, thoughtful. Yet you never join us for happy hours, you decline every invitation to company social events, and I've never once heard you mention dating or even going out with friends." Marcus's hands tightened slightly around his coffee cup. He'd known this conversation might come someday. "I appreciate your concern," he said softly. "I'm not trying to pry," Victoria continued, leaning forward with genuine warmth in her eyes. "But Marcus, you're still young. Life shouldn't be just about work. Why won't you date? Why won't you let yourself live a little?" The question hung in the air between them. Marcus looked out at the city lights blurred by rain, gathering his thoughts. He'd spent years building walls around his heart, and now someone was asking him to explain why. "It's complicated," he finally said. "Most meaningful things are," Victoria replied. "I have time, if you're willing to share." Marcus drew a deep breath. Something about Victoria's kindness, the quiet office, the gentle rain, made him want to open up in a way he hadn't in years. "I was married once," he began, his voice steady but soft. "Her name was Patricia. We met when we were 23, married at 25. She was everything to me, Victoria. Everything. We built a life together, bought a small house, planted a garden, talked about growing old together." Victoria listened without interrupting, her expression compassionate. "When I was 31, we had our daughter, Jasmine. Patricia used to say Jasmine had my eyes but her spirit. Bright, curious, full of life." A sad smile crossed Marcus's face. "Those were the happiest years of my existence. Coming home to them, hearing Jasmine's laughter, watching Patricia sing while cooking dinner. It was simple, but it was perfect." He paused, the memories both sweet and painful. Then, when Jasmine was 4, Patricia got sick. Cancer. It came fast and fierce. We fought it together for 18 months, but in the end, we lost her. She was only 36. "Oh Marcus," Victoria whispered, her eyes glistening. "I'm so sorry." Jasmine was 5 when her mother died, Marcus continued. "Too young to fully understand, but old enough to feel the emptiness. I became both mother and father overnight. Every morning, I'd braid her hair the way Patricia taught me, even though my fingers fumbled with the strands. Every night, I'd read her the same bedtime stories Patricia used to read, trying to keep her mother's voice alive in our home." The rain continued its gentle rhythm against the windows. "For the first few years, I was just surviving. Getting Jasmine to school, working to keep our house, making sure she had everything she needed. Friends would tell me I should start dating again, that Patricia would want me to be happy. But how could I? How could I give my heart to someone else when it still belonged to Patricia? When every evening, I'd catch myself setting 3 plates on the table instead of 2. Victoria reached across the desk, placing her hand gently over his. "You don't have to continue if this is too painful." "No, it's all right," Marcus said. "Maybe it's time I said this out loud. Jasmine is 14 now. She's grown into this remarkable young woman, kind and strong, so much like her mother. She's the center of my world. Every decision I make, every sacrifice, it's all for her." "But what about you, Marcus?" Victoria asked gently. "What about your happiness?" Marcus looked directly at her, his eyes filled with both sadness and conviction. "A few months ago, Jasmine came to me. She'd noticed that other kids had 2 parents, families that looked different from ours. She asked me why I never dated, why I never tried to find someone new. And you know what she said when I tried to brush it off? Victoria shook her head. She said, "Dad, I see how lonely you are when you think I'm not looking. I see how you hold Mom's picture at night. I know you loved her, but Dad, you're allowed to love again. You're allowed to be happy." Tears rolled down Victoria's cheeks. "What did you tell her?" Marcus's voice grew thick with emotion. "I told her the truth. I told her that yes, I still love her mother. That love doesn't just disappear because someone passes away. But I also told her that the reason I haven't dated isn't just about Patricia. It's about her, about Jasmine." He set down his coffee cup and folded his hands. When you're a single parent, especially a single father raising a daughter, you carry this immense responsibility. Any person I bring into our lives becomes part of her life too. How do I know they'll love her the way she deserves? How do I know they'll understand that she comes first, always? How do I risk bringing someone into our home who might leave, who might hurt her the way losing her mother hurt her? Marcus's voice cracked slightly. "I've built our life around stability, around making sure Jasmine feels safe and loved. Dating would mean risking that stability. It would mean opening our small, careful world to uncertainty. And I just can't do that to her. Not after everything she's already lost." Victoria was quiet for a long moment, absorbing his words. When she finally spoke, her voice was tender but firm. "Marcus, do you know what I hear in what you just said? I hear a father who loves his daughter more than anything in this world. But I also hear a man who's forgotten that he matters too." "I matter to Jasmine," Marcus said. "That's enough." "Is it though?" Victoria asked gently. "Because from where I'm sitting, I see a man who's so afraid of hurting his daughter that he's hurting himself. You're teaching Jasmine that love is something to fear, that opening your heart again is dangerous. Is that really the lesson you want to give her?" Marcus looked down at his hands. "I never thought of it that way." "Jasmine told you that you're allowed to be happy," Victoria continued. "She gave you permission because she loves you and sees your pain. But you don't need her permission, Marcus. You need to give yourself permission. Not to replace Patricia, no one could do that, but to honor her memory by continuing to live, truly live, not just survive." The office felt smaller suddenly, more intimate. Marcus felt years of carefully constructed walls beginning to crack. "I'm scared," he admitted quietly. "I'm scared of being vulnerable again. Of losing someone again. Of not being enough." "That's the most human thing in the world," Victoria said. "But Marcus, you're already enough. You've been enough for Jasmine all these years. And you know what? There's someone out there who will see that. Someone who will love not despite your devotion to your daughter, but because of it. Someone who will understand that love doesn't divide, it multiplies." Marcus felt tears he'd held back for years beginning to surface. "What if I forget Patricia? What if moving forward means leaving her behind?" "You could never forget her," Victoria said with certainty. "She's in every choice you make, every sacrifice, every moment you braid Jasmine's hair or read her bedtime stories. She's in the men you've become. Moving forward doesn't erase the past, it honors it by saying, what we had was so beautiful that I'm willing to be brave enough to love again." They sat together in the quiet office as the rain began to soften outside. Marcus felt something shift inside him, a door he'd kept locked beginning to open just slightly. "I don't know if I'm ready," he said finally. "You don't have to be ready today," Victoria replied. "But maybe just consider it. Consider that Jasmine needs to see her father happy, truly happy. Consider that the greatest gift you can give her is showing her that after loss, after pain, the heart can heal. That love is worth the risk." Marcus nodded slowly, feeling the weight of years of grief and fear beginning to lighten, just a little. "Thank you, Victoria," he said. "For caring enough to ask. For listening. For understanding. We all need someone to remind us that we're not alone," Victoria said, standing up. "And Marcus. You're not alone. You have colleagues who care about you, a daughter who loves you, and somewhere out there, a future that's waiting for you to be brave enough to meet it." As Victoria left his office, Marcus sat in the dim light, Patricia's photograph on his desk catching his eye. He picked it up, tracing her face with his finger. "I'll always love you," he whispered. "But maybe it's time I learned to live again. For Jasmine. For myself. For the life you'd want me to have." Outside, the rain had stopped, and through the clouds, the first stars were beginning to appear.